Ever feel like just looking at your to-read pile is exhausting? You know, all those books judging you like, hey, remember us? You were so excited to start reading.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's like you want to love reading, but
Mm.
life just
Life gets in the way.
gets in the way. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're diving into some articles about rediscovering that joy of reading, even if you only have like 15 minutes.
Okay.
One article had some really out there tips, like reading with a pet or having a snack while you read.
Interesting.
I'll be honest, at first I was like, is this for real?
Right. It sounds a little strange, but the psychology behind it actually makes sense. Think about how we learn to love anything. Our brains are really good at making positive associations.
Okay.
So if you pair something you already enjoy, like a cozy blanket or a cup of tea or even those gummy bears, with an activity, you might start looking forward to that activity more and more. Like you're training your brain to crave books alongside those gummy bears.
So the gummy bear becomes my reading buddy, basically.
No, yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
What other kind of out there advice did we find?
Both articles were really big on reading out loud.
Oh, interesting.
And not just for kids at bedtime.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
For adults, too.
You know, I used to think reading aloud was a little weird. Like, am I just trying to show off?
Yeah.
But I've been trying it, and I feel like I absorbed so much more, especially with those really dense books.
Totally. And there's science to back that up, too. When you read aloud, you're engaging way more of your senses. Your eyes are obviously seeing the words, your mouth is forming the words, and your ears are hearing them.
Right, right.
It's not just a passive activity anymore.
It becomes an experience, yeah.
It's a full-on sensory experience.
And be honest, haven't we all had that moment where you read a line and you just have to hear it out loud, even if you're alone?
All the time.
It's like giving the words the drama they deserve.
It reminds you that reading can be playful.
Right. So it's all about changing how we think about reading. Instead of seeing it as a chore, we're trying to find those little things we can do to make it fun again.
Yeah.
But it's not all about external comforts.
Yeah.
Right?
Not at all. One article made a point that really resonated with me, and it was about rediscovering the joy of browsing, just getting lost in a bookstore or library.
Oh, I love that.
Just wandering the stacks, judging books by their covers.
Yeah.
It brings you back to that pure delight of discovery. It reminds you that reading is an adventure just waiting to happen.
Speaking of adventures, one article suggested that we could try exploring different genres.
Yeah.
And that leads us perfectly into our next topic.
Yeah.
Graphic novels. So one of these articles you shared was all about graphic novels.
Yeah.
And it really opened my eyes to like just how diverse they've become.
Right.
I'll admit, I kind of had this idea in my head that they were all just like superheroes and
Yeah.
speech bubbles, but
It's a common misconception. A lot of people think that graphic novels are a medium, though, not a genre.
that makes sense.
So just like you wouldn't say all books are the same,
Right.
you can't really pigeonhole graphic novels either.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they have everything from historical accounts, memoirs, biographies,
Wow.
coming-of-age stories, romance,
Okay.
even laugh-out-loud comedy.
And another thing, that article you shared about graphic novels
Yeah.
mentioned that they're just for kids.
Oh, yeah.
Which, come on, have you seen the artwork in some of those books?
Right.
The detail, the emotion. It's incredible. It's art.
It is. And you know Margus?
Yeah.
That's a graphic novel,
Okay.
and it won a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
And it's about the Holocaust, but it's told through the eyes of mice and cats. And it's really powerful, and it's a great example of how graphic novels can use those visuals to get across those emotions and events, even historical events,
Yeah.
in a way that sometimes you just can't with just words.
Wow, Marius was actually one of the titles I remember from the article.
Oh, cool.
Another one was Watchmen. Have you heard of that?
Of course, Watchmen is a classic.
Is it? What makes it so good?
I think it's really great storytelling. I mean, it takes the superhero genre, but it kind of flips it on its head.
Sure.
And it makes you think about power, corruption, even what it means to be a hero.
Wow.
Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, the creators,
Right.
they weren't afraid to go there to
Yeah.
discuss those more mature, serious themes. And I think that's why it still resonates with people.
So it sounds like Watchmen might be a good one for someone like me who's just starting to get into graphic novels.
For sure. For sure.
What about other recommendations for newbies?
Oh, well.
Besides me, Ellis.
I always say, don't be afraid to explore. Think about what you like to read normally.
Yeah.
You love fantasy. Check out Saga.
Saga, okay.
It's a space opera.
Fun.
Amazing
Yeah.
visuals.
Yeah.
More into like slice of life. Blankets by Craig Thompson.
Okay.
It's a coming-of-age story. Beautifully drawn. It'll stick with you.
So it's like finding your niche within a niche.
Exactly.
I love that. The article also mentioned how affordable they can be.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to used bookstores.
Oh, yeah. Used bookstores are the best.
Or online.
Yes.
There's so much out there.
Right, and it's so much cheaper.
And I love the idea of giving a used book a new home.
Me too.
It's like you're rescuing it, that story.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talk about how to make reading more enjoyable.
Yeah.
We talk about graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
But what about understanding the language?
Mm-hmm.
Like the actual words?
You're talking about that last article, the one about slang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, that one. It felt a little out of place at first.
Okay.
But then I was thinking,
Yeah.
it's all connected. It's all connected. Like reading isn't just about recognizing the words.
It's about connecting with the culture, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And what better way to connect with the culture than through its slang?
You've got it. It's like a secret code that unlocks a whole other level, you know, especially with more contemporary books and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I remember reading this book a few years ago, and the characters kept using this slang I'd never heard before. And it just, it totally took me out of the story.
You're like, wait a minute, what?
I had to put the book down and Google it. And even then, it still took me a minute to really get it.
Yeah, sometimes you need that contact.
It makes such a difference.
Right. It makes the story feel so much more authentic.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're like, okay, I'm actually in this world.
Exactly. Okay, so, but how do we even keep up with slang? It feels like every day there's a new word or phrase.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's constantly changing.
This article had some good advice, though. Like, pay attention to what's trending on social media.
Oh, social media, that's a big one.
Because it really is like everyone's a walking, talking dictionary now.
Right. They're coming up with new words all the time.
But you don't have to be on TikTok every 5 seconds to stay current, right?
No, not at all.
This article mentioned that, like just asking your friends.
It's just asking, exactly.
Or even just eavesdropping.
Listen to how people talk.
That's like a fun little game. What's that word mean?
Exactly. You're a linguistic detective.
Yes. And every once in a while,
you
need a little backup, right?
Right, you got to bring in the big guns.
Time to consult the online slang dictionary.
There's some great ones out there.
They're amazing.
They tell you what the words mean, how they started, how they've changed over time.
So basically, the next time I'm reading and I hit a word I don't recognize, instead of being annoyed, I should think of it as part of the experience.
It's all part of the fun.
I love it.
Just like we were talking about how to make reading enjoyable again.
Yeah.
This is how you keep your relationship with language.
Right.
Yeah.
Dynamic, interesting, exciting.
This whole deep dive has been so interesting. Who knew we'd go from snack-sized reading sessions to decoding slang, and it's all connected to becoming more engaged readers. It's amazing.
It is. And you know what? It made me think about that parting thought we talked about before. It's awesome to learn all these tips and tricks to make reading more fun and engaging, but there's something about sharing those experiences with others.
Oh, absolutely.
That just takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
So what if you grab a friend, grab some graphic novels,
okay,
maybe even a slang dictionary.
I love it.
Start your own little book club.
That is such a good idea. Plus, it brings us full circle. Back to that joy of connecting with others.
Exactly.
And sharing new discoveries.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about that love of language and learning new things, having fun.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe we'll even come up with some new slang terms of our own along the way.
There you go. I love it.
This has been great. Thanks for joining me.
This was awesome. Thanks for having me.